The Silent Landlord, the chilling case of Dorothea Puente. Sacramento, California, nestled among the historic Victorian homes on F Street, stood a well-kept pale blue boarding house with lace curtains and neatly trimmed hedges. From the outside, the house seemed like a place of refuge, a haven for the elderly and disabled who had nowhere else to go. But behind those white-trimmed windows, a horrific secret lay buried, quite literally, beneath the rose bushes. In 1988, authorities uncovered one of California's most chilling murder cases, orchestrated by an unlikely killer, 59-year-old Dorothea Puente, a grandmotherly woman with a soft voice and a warm smile. Known to her tenants as Miss Puente, she operated a boarding house that offered meals, companionship, and assistance with Social Security paperwork. But what no one realized was that Puente had been quietly cashing in on their deaths. The first sign of something amiss came when a social worker reported the disappearance of one of her clients, Alvaro Bert Montoya, a mentally disabled man in his early 50s who had been living at Puente's home. The staff had grown concerned when communication abruptly stopped and began pressing for answers. Puente claimed Bert had simply moved on, but the inconsistencies in her story caught the attention of local police. When detectives visited the home on November 11th, 1988, they noted the smell of decaying flesh, but were initially told it was the result of plumbing problems. One officer noticed disturbed soil in the backyard and returned the next day with a team and a warrant. They began to dig. What they found shocked the entire city. The first body was badly decomposed and wrapped in cloth. By the end of the week, 7 bodies had been exhumed from the backyard garden. Each victim was a former tenant, vulnerable individuals with disabilities, addictions, or mental illness. Puente had poisoned them, often with sleeping pills or overdoses, and continued to collect their government checks after their deaths. The most chilling part? Puente didn't flee immediately. She calmly told detectives she was going out to buy coffee and never returned. She was arrested several days later in Los Angeles, spotted while drinking alone at a bar and chatting with a fellow drifter, just as she had once charmed her victims. In 1993, after a lengthy trial that featured over 130 witnesses, Dorothea Puente was convicted of 3 murders, though investigators believed the number of victims was much higher. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole and died behind bars in 2011 at age 82. The case stunned the nation dita perso, também da crossa da corso. Not just because of the brutality, but because of how effortlessly Puente had masked her crimes behind a grandmotherly facade. The home, now a macabre landmark, still stands on F Street, a silent witness to the horrors that once took place inside. In the end, Dorothea Puente was not the caregiver she pretended to be, but a calculating predator who preyed on the forgotten. And for years, her garden grew atop graves no one knew were there.